Greetings, everybody. Excuse me. Welcome back for week 3 in ENC 1101 at lovely Valencia College. For the folks in my viewing this that are in my mixed mode class, Monday, of course, it's a holiday, so we will not be meeting on Mondays this particular week. But that won't affect you lovely online folks in any way because it's the same normal everyday start to the week. But I do want to touch base with you because, of course, this week, your very first official paper is due. And so many of you might have questions about how to set that up and how to accomplish that. By now, you will have gotten your feedback on the pre-writing for the personal narrative, and you'll be putting some beautiful finishing touches on your first official paper. This paper, of course, is written from your own personal experience, so there's really no reason for any use of sources necessarily, but we are going to practice setting up papers in MLA style, and you're going to use that throughout the term. So I will talk about that a little bit, and I'm going to create and give you a sample document that you can use as a template. Now, I have the full version of Word on my computer, so it sometimes looks a little bit different when you are in Office 365, but I have a video that I have made for another school that uses 365 as well. So I will probably also post that just to be on the safe side if you need any additional information. I will warn you that they use a completely different system for the online classes, but creation of Word documents using Office 365 is the same. So I'm also going to point you to the library, where there is always good information on MLA library templates, things that you can use as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what is happening in week 3. All right, so I have Word open first, but I'm going to go ahead and go to the class first. And as usual, I always like to start with a reminder of where we are. We are in week 3, and of course, the college is closed on Monday. If you need anything, though, I still answer emails and stuff over the weekends and holidays. So if you need me, you can always shoot me an inbox or post a question on the Q&A discussion board. This week, you have some grammar to review, which is very exciting. We're going to be looking at subjects and verbs and various sentence types. So in addition to your first paper, you will have your first grammar review. Those are done in quiz format, and you take it just like you would any quiz. However, as I've mentioned before, I do not put timers on the quizzes, so take your time with it. Really, make sure that you're thinking about each question. There's no reason you can't do well on all of the grammar reviews, so keep that in mind. All right, so let's look at your learning materials for week 3. We are done with week 2, so I'm going to make that small. This week's learning materials include information about the personal narrative and some help on that from our Lumen Learning reading, as well as the description and narrative. So these are not new reading assignments, but these will help you as you work on your personal narrative. So feel free to review those. They are right here handy for you. In addition to that, you have the 2 grammar reviews. These are also housed on the library guide. So you'll just click on each one of these and it'll take you to some videos that you will watch, and then you'll be prepared and ready to do the grammar review. Back in the modules, you have the 2 assignments that are due this week. Of course, not due till the end of the week, but the personal narrative. We've gone over that assignment, but I'm going to go over it again with you. And then, like I said, the grammar review. It is a 25 point. All the grammar reviews are 25 points. So these are not, giant make or break kind of grades, but You should be able to do well on them and maybe learn a thing or two, which is kind of fun as well. All right, so let's talk about the personal narrative again. This week's official written assignment is a personal narrative essay that reflects on a significant event or events from your life that demonstrate a sense of accomplishment. I mentioned last week in the video that you really want to focus on something that has a positive overall feeling. Sometimes it's harder to write about things that are over emotional. So, pick something that you have some distance on, that you can write about with some objectivity. But this is your big chance to share you and use the word I and me and all those things in your narrative. When you are writing a narrative, of course, you should have descriptions as well of the people, places, and things that are important in it. You can feel free to use dialogue if you want to talk about conversations that you have with people. That is certainly fine. If you do use dialogue, you want to make sure that you use it appropriately and realistically. When we write in dialogue, we use different paragraphs for each person speaking. So you may have a whole bunch of really short paragraphs in this essay as opposed to 5 or 6 longer paragraphs. If you're using dialogue, you're going to have quite a few more. When you are using dialogue, you want to be realistic about it. It is perfectly fine in saying what people said to maybe not use 100% perfect grammar, because people don't talk that way. Most people don't talk that way. Even English teachers typically don't talk that way when we are out in the real world. So feel free to make this realistic. You may also need to imagine some of the details because, over time we forget things. We may not forget, we may not remember a specific conversation and every word that somebody said, but we can recreate that conversation even after the fact. So feel free to do that. The paper itself will be at least 750 words. And it will, as I mentioned, follow MLA formatting guidelines. It is super easy to set an MLA paper up, and I'm going to show you that right now. All right, so let me open Word. Now, as I mentioned, I have the full version of Word on my computer. I also am on a Mac. And so this may look a little bit different from what you are seeing when you open Microsoft Word. But the nice thing about Word is that the help features are always really good. So if you don't know how to do something or you need something that I haven't covered, use the search feature and actually search for help on it. Or do what I do. If there's something I don't know how to do, a lot of times I'll go straight to YouTube and find somebody else who already knows how to do it. So you're also, of course, welcome to ask me any questions, but sometimes we are working on things in the middle of the night or, at a time when our English teacher might not be available. So I do encourage you to, be on the lookout for helpful things. So the main things that you need to do for MLA formatting are we're going to have double spacing. We are going to have your last name and the page number in what's called the header. We are going to have set information on page 1, like at the very top of the page. We're going to have no bold print or weird fonts and stuff. We're going to use something standardized. I'm a big believer in using the default font because the fewer things you change, the fewer things can get messed up. But a lot of teachers will absolutely 100% require you to use Times New Roman 12 point. So I'm going to change to that for this assignment, and that way it'll be set up for the sample that I give you. So the first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go ahead and use the header feature. I'm going to insert the page number and add the last name to that. So we go to the insert menu, and instead of doing header, you want to choose page number first. It's going to be at the top of the page on the right-hand side, and all we have to do is say, okay. Now, right now, I'm in Aptos, which is the new default font, which I do not understand. But anyway, they didn't ask me. So I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to change this 2 Times New Roman, and it is already 12-point font, so that's cool. I'm going to type right in front of that number, and I'm going to put the student's name. I'm trying to think who I want to use for my sample student today. I don't have any famous people sticking around on things, but I'm going to use my favorite princess. Why not? Oops, except her last name is not Snow. Her last name is White. Now, you notice that is also not Times New Roman 12. Ugh. So this again is why I'm a big believer in just using the header, the default fonts, because you don't have to mess with all this stuff. All right, so that's set. Once we go, we just double click down back on the first line. I'm going to change it again. I'm going to go back to Times New Roman 12. And the other thing I need to do, and this is weird, Microsoft Word, and I'm not 100% sure if 365 does this or not, but Microsoft Word has been putting these weird spaces between spaces forever. So we want double spacing, but we also have to turn off the quote unquote extra spacing that they put in. So before I do anything else, I'm going to click on this button that says no spacing. And what that does, it went back to the default font. I knew it was going to do that. The no spacing means we're in plain single spacing right now. So I am going to hit Command 2 or Control 2, and that will put me in double spacing. Okay. So first and last name, your first and last name, your teacher's last name, the class, oops, except I can't type today. You can include the CRN if you want to. I'm going to put the one for my fully online class since that's the video that I'm currently making. 100. And then the date. So the date would normally be the due date, which in this particular case is going to be Sunday, Sunday, September. What is that date? 8th. Whew, lost that day for a minute. All right, so we're going to put 8 Sept 2024. Now, if you use a different date version, I'm not going to count off for it, but MLA does prefer the British version of the dates. So day, month, year. The next thing we need is a title, and titles are centered. So we're going to click on the center button, and we're going to give our paper a title. The time I met Prince Charming. And I think I am using the wrong prince because I think Cinderella's the Prince Charming and Snow White's the one that doesn't really have a name. Anyway, we're gonna go with it. And so here's my title. What you don't want to do is give your papers a title like personal narrative or comparison contrast paper. Like, don't just call it what the assignment is, call it what it's about. Okay, so it doesn't have to be the greatest title ever. It doesn't have to be super clever, but you do want to give your papers a title. Now we hit return, but we need to go back to the normal left-hand margin. So we're going to go back, we're going to click this button, and now we are ready to type our paper. Remember, you may have multiple paragraphs. Well, you'll have multiple paragraphs for sure, but you could have a lot of paragraphs if you're using dialogue or a few paragraphs if you're not. You are going to indent the first line of each paragraph, and you're not going to hit enter again until you finish typing the paragraphs. I am constantly amazed at how many people use a computer like an old school typewriter by hitting enter at the ends of each lines. I don't know where you guys are getting that from, but if that's you, you don't need to do that. So we're going to hit the tab key and we're going to type our brilliant paragraph. Now, again, this is a different kind of essay than we will be writing for the most part. So our introduction will have a thesis at the end of it. I'm going to type in thesis statement here as a reminder. And then we can go to the next paragraph and we're going to do it all. Oops. I did that. Oh, I did it again. Anyway. All right, so we're gonna type until we get done. And like I said, it's gonna be 750, probably 3 pages. I'm not gonna type all that out because you don't really need it. This is gonna be enough to get you set up. So I will save this. I'm going to save it right now. And we're gonna call this sample narrative in MLA. And I will attach this document to the to the announcement, and you can feel free to use that as a template. Make sure that you change all the things out that need to be changed, but the spacing's already set up for you. The indents are set up, like it's already ready to go. So hopefully that will help a great deal. But like I said, if you have any questions about the paper itself, feel free to reach out to me anytime this week and I will give you as much help as you need. All right. So I hope everybody has a great week 3 and I will see you back here at the beginning of week 4.